Podcasting from the Lone Star State in Southern California, you're listening to the Coma Podcast with Cody and Matt.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Coma Cast. It is May 13th, 2021, and we thank you for joining us. We're going to be talking about Instagram. They are now going to be allowing pronouns to be used. They're in the bio headline area. There's a gasoline shortage. People are putting gasoline in trash bags and putting it in their vehicle. Maybe not the same thing. Also, we're going to be talking about this crazy. Yeah, don't do that. I wouldn't advise that. But if you want to, I guess we'll see what happens with that. And then this is a crazy one. There's generals. There's about 120. They wrote a letter to Biden talking about the false election and talking about conspiracy, mental health of Biden. We're going to be talking about all of that, plus some headlines. But first, Matt, I was actually confused because it's the 13th, but then for some reason I was thinking it was Friday because, you know, my days are all messed up these now all the time. I don't even know what day it is or what the date is, but I thought it was Friday the 13th. And that got me thinking about all these crazy things that are surrounding the Friday the 13th and the superstition of it.
In our family, it's been pretty good luck. My stepsister was born on Friday the 13th in 1986, 3 weeks after me. And so in our family, it's just I never thought of it as a bad thing because she and I celebrated our birthdays together when we were kids. So it was weird growing up and then everyone, learning about, this crazy bad day. I'm like, but our family, we had birthday parties for her or, and as adults, we call each other and stuff like that. So it's like,
yeah, I don't. I've never been someone who's been like superstitious. There's the whole thing: don't walk under a ladder and all these other things. I always thought it was weird when I was like,
because there's things that could just fall, but that's common sense, not superstition.
I've never, like when I was little, and not really, understanding things, I'd be like, and being like in an elevator in a tall building, and be like, why is there no 13? It was just like always just so weird to me when I was little. And then obviously I grew up and then realized that people take it seriously. But
wait, there really was you've been in buildings where they didn't have a 13th floor, or is that really a thing?
Yeah, I think that's a thing. Like it just is not there.
I think it
just goes 12, 14. It is the 13th floor, but it is labeled 12 and then 14. Yeah, I believe so. And in many buildings anyway.
That's
look
so
next
fun.
time you're in I don't think there's a tall building in San Antonio, but next time you happen to be in a high-rise building or a large hotel, check that out.
Well, I don't often find myself in strange large hotels, Cody.
Do you not?
I don't, unfortunately. Those days apparently are gone. I'm not sure if they were ever here before, but and also, my mom has worked in hotels my entire life. So as a kid, I was always in hotels.
Yeah.
But
you do though, and not that again, it's not Friday the 13th, it's Thursday the 13th, but you do get, I know a lot of people I always see it on Facebook, people getting like tattoos because like they're cheaper for some reason, I think, or something. $1 sometimes.
I was supposed to get a tattoo a few weeks ago, but I had problems getting in. And then some, obviously it's like super ugly weather. And then, I don't want tattooed on a recording day, obviously, because probably really won't be in the mood to sit in front of the camera and talk.
You know what? I feel like I wish there was a time that we could do this, or we knew somebody, a tattoo artist, and we could do a podcast recording while you get a tattoo.
Oh, you monster. I'm okay. I mean, the guy chatted with me the entire time he tattooed my chest. My hip one, the one on my hip, it only took like 30 seconds, but it only hurt, right? Because where it used to be, he glanced off the corner of my hip bone at the time because I was super thin.
Ouch.
That hurt a lot, but it is no longer up there anymore. It has since moved. It has relocated. It has relocated. No, my next tattoo is actually going to be my mom used to write me, because I wasn't raised with my mom after age 10. When she would write me letters, she had stationery that said, "From the desk of Valerie." And the front of it was a hummingbird, and around the top of it was like the foliage the hummingbird was kind of like poking its little beak into. So my tattoo is going to be on my left shoulder, from the shoulder to like midway down my bicep, of the hummingbird and then around that is going to be the foliage and stuff like that. So it's going to be like probably it'll look like a partial sleeve, but it won't wrap around my whole arm because I don't want it on the underside of my arm. I want it to be where I can like literally look at it in a mirror or look down and see most of it if I want to. But it's going to be, you're watching this on the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see me pointing at my arm. So
where the location will be.
Yes, so that's where it's going to be, and it's going to be pretty good size. I like bigger tattoos. David's also got his sleeve planned out. I think a lot of people
told me about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are a little surprised that I like tattoos, piercings, all those things that they don't, it's whatever. I'm not pierced. David used to be pierced in several places. But he has, over the years, taken one out, couldn't get it back in, so decided to just leave it out kind of thing. And at this point, he's like, I don't care. But yeah, it does tend to surprise people, especially if they don't really, because I don't post pictures often on my main account. So the newer followers, after a while, I forget. Like, oh, you like tattoos? I'm like, I have a big dragon on my chest, but yeah, they're okay. Why?
I do not have any tattoos. I've always wanted one. I always talked about with some of my friends in Orlando, we were going to get matching tattoos.
That's so cute.
But it has not happened yet. Maybe it'll happen in the future.
What would you get?
David. Okay. So like one of my friends, Bree, we had talked about getting matching Bambi tattoos. And so I was going to get a cute, like little Bambi tattoo right here on my wrist. That would look like it was like hand drawn or something. And then my other friend, I don't know what we were going to get. I forgot, but we had planned something out and we were going to get it done. More recently, I actually think I sent David the picture of it when we were talking about tattoos, but I think I want to get like this like cat done. It looks like a stained glass type cat. Or if I could get somebody to draw Ella, I would do one of Ella.
Where would you have it?
I don't know. I don't know.
I want paw
like
prints.
I always was going to do bamboo here, but bamboo. Oh my gosh. Bambi. I don't know why I keep saying bamboo. It's because we were talking about, it's in my head because I saw the clip again. We played it on the podcast on Friday. So you haven't checked out Friday's podcast, the video version on YouTube, check it out. But there's the whole thing going on in Arizona right now where they think that the illegal ballots came in from South Asian countries, China, and they were made with bamboo, and they're looking for bamboo paper with the 5K camera because I keep hearing clips. They're playing them like nonstop on these late night shows, talking about how ridiculous that is. I did want to point out when we played that clip, the guy who was in the interview talking about that they were doing this, he himself does not believe this. I didn't realize that, but I saw more of the clip, and he does not believe that they are bamboo ballots. But I guess you have to go through the process, and so anyway, that's on my mind. But Bambi tattoo. Goodness.
I want paw prints on either the back of my right shoulder. I just want one set of paw prints kind of to represent all my cats. But my cat Amy, the one I had from like 19 to 27, from like 2006 to 2017, when I would sit on the ground and like read a book or play a video game, I prefer to sit on the ground instead of in a chair, or it's weird. But she would come up behind me and paw at my at the back of my shoulder for attention, or just kind of like just do it for fun. Not aggressively, but like it was kind of like this is just what she did with me. And so I always liked it, but I would just want one set of paw prints to represent like all my pets. So I'd either put it there. I thought about having it done across my chest, like because that's where they tend to like climb on me. But I like tattoos. I like back tattoos, but I want to be able to see it. So I don't want tattoos that I can't personally see.
Yeah. Some people, I sent David the video of this and photo of this, but there's a guy on TikTok, Instagram. He has the most beautiful cat, and all his videos of him just like holding his cats, and they're so beautiful, and they like have really long hair, almost Mancoon like cats. And his whole body is covered in tattoos, basically, and it looks so good. But him and the way he, like his style and his hair and his piercings and all his tattoos mixed with the cat, it just like, it's like, oh my God, perfect. I'll have to send you that video and post it up for people to see.
We had a very funny moment. So on the back of David's right shoulder blade, so he's a Leo, so he has a Leo the lion tattoo, like a lion tattoo on his back of his shoulder blade. It's pretty good sized. And about where... I'm still laughing about this. I'm such a child, and I've not told you this yet, Cody. So
you have not.
I have not. You're gonna die laughing. But like how you get like little tiny hairs periodically, like. So he got one on his back, and I thought it was maybe like from his head, like from shedding. It was not. It was an actual short black hair, and it was sticking out of his tattoo about where the cat's butt would be. And it was the funniest thing, and I could not stop laughing. This is the other night, like right before we were going to bed. I just happened to notice it while I looked over while I was brushing my teeth and saw, his back was to me. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, what's on your back? And I went to wipe his back off. I'm like, oh, no, that's attached. And I just noticed where it was, and it was
I can
so
just imagine
funny.
this.
And then me laughing like a freaking child.
Yes.
And he's like, what's funny? And I'm like, or, like a clapping seal, and while brushing my teeth. So yeah, it's fantastic.
By the way, that was a good impression of a seal there.
Thank you. Get the full
sea lion. How's your week gone? Has it been pretty good?
Yeah, I would say yeah. I'm still waiting for this welcome packet from school where it's an enrollment packet where we send back all of our stuff, and I have to send in all my CPR certification, and I have to go get a TB test. I'm not getting the TB test till they send that to me and tell me when to go get it.
Yeah.
My clinical records and everything, they recommend you keep a copy of that stuff available on your phone or, easily accessible, because every clinical instructor each semester, you have to show them your shot records and all of that, and all of that. So I've had a week or two, I've told pretty much most of the family that I'm in communication with. My one aunt, she's technically my step aunt. My stepdad's half sister. She was super excited, and she's like, whenever graduation is, I'm going to come there, and I'm going to be in the audience. I'm going to be in the audience for your nursing school graduation. I was like, that is amazing. I appreciate it. She's like, so do you have hotels around you or like accessible? Because she knows we live in a slightly more rural place. I was like, if you come here, I will literally pay for your hotel. Like, because it's easier than having a relative stay in the house. It's just better that way. And so my grandmother doesn't know because I think she's blocked me. My stepdad does know. He said, good job. I'm sure he told my mom. She has not said shit to me. My sisters, one didn't even acknowledge it, and the other has not even responded to any of my text messages in 2 months. So because she's probably busy or doing whatever she's doing. And I'm like, cool. I finally said, my stepsister, I've actually got to worry because we don't have any negative anything to each other. We've always been on good terms. I finally sent her a text the other day. I was like, hey, are you okay? Like, okay, it's been like a month and a half. I'm starting to like get concerned. No answer. But I saw her Facebook, and she has posted on Facebook. So like the last time I sent her a message, it had been like months, and I'm like, are you dead? And she's like, hey, Bobby, just been busy. And I'm like, okay. She's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, well, usually we call each other on our birthdays every year without fail. We've never not. And like that year had been like 10 days past my birthday, and I hadn't heard from her from the prior 2 or 3 months of text messages either. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to like get nosy, but are you all right? Like, I don't care that you didn't call me on my birthday. Like we're adults. It's not a big deal, but it's such a normal part of our relationship that I thought like, oh wow, something might really be wrong. And she was like, oh my God, I totally forgot. I'm like, we're the same age. We are the same age, and our birthdays are 3 weeks apart. There are literally still pictures in existence of us sharing birthdays. Like, I remember maybe one of them, The other ones
Yeah.
I've seen pictures. In fact, one of them was us at I think at our second or third birthdays. They got the great idea to get us each a cake. They made us each like a little chocolate cake, and it's this real cute. Like you see us, we're like, like, oh yes, this cake. And then they took a picture of the aftermath, and we are disgusting looking. We are literally smeared in cake. They just let us. Apparently, they just put them in front of us and let us just have at it, and just took pictures and laughed at us. I have to say, that's a highlight.
Well, they did that with my nieces and nephews. But I guess I didn't. I was really a clean kid. I would be like, I can't do this.
I was only
even
2 or
I guess
3,
when I was,
by the way. Because
even when I was small, apparently I was like, ugh.
Yeah, I used to. So I don't know when it changed because of my conscious memory. I hated making a mess. Like I hated touching things and getting like eating spaghetti. I like pasta, but I hated, it takes a while to get a method to eat pasta without making a huge mess. I hated eating stuff in front of people because I just didn't have a good tactic yet. So I remember not liking it and just making a mess and being really frustrated about it, but being like, oh, this is so good. Yeah. Like I love cantaloupe. I could not manage to eat it without getting like my hands and face sticky, and I hated it, but I love cantaloupe.
Yeah, I had a really good cantaloupe the other day. It was like one of the sweetest cantaloupes I've ever had. I'm actually starting to grow cantaloupe, so hopefully, crossing fingers, they will turn out. Last year they turned out, and I only got to eat one because the others, the possum decided to eat them. That comes and visits our yard each evening. So I hope he enjoyed them. Let's get to some headlines real quick. Queen Elizabeth II has announced that the government will ban ex-gay conversion therapy. While the practice has been discredited by every major medical association, the religious right continues to promote the technique despite the increased risk of suicide and depression by participants. So good for them announcing that they're going to be banning the conversion therapy.
Right. It's only taken a long time. Liz Cheney's been removed from the position of as House GOP conference chair over anti-Trump stance. She also said she would continue to buck the former president while supporting her Republican colleagues. What a shock. What did you say, Cody? Earlier we were talking about it took 15 or 16 minutes for them to oust her. 16
minutes to oust her. But I'm no big fan of Liz Cheney, but she is sticking to guns and going to be the anti-Trump stance for whatever I guess that group's going to be now. More anti-LGBTQ laws have been passed in the last year than any other time in American history. Of course, if you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard about it. In less than 5 months, politicians have made attacking the right of trans people the newest American wedge issue. Again, over 50 plus bills right now at state legislatures across the country.
Wow, not shocking. Biden urges parents to get kids vaccinated after the CDC panel has endorsed the Pfizer Covid vaccine. The CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP, issued its recommendation, which was adopted 14-0 with one abstention. The endorsement now awaits final approval by CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, which is expected imminently. So what that would mean is 12 and up would be eligible for the Pfizer vaccine. They're saying that would be saying that's okay, and Biden is urging people to go get that, just to make sure that's clear.
That is so exciting. It's what we need to keep moving forward and continue opening up.
Right. I'm ready for it.
Biden also has announced and is going to be banning discrimination against LGBTQ people in healthcare. Of course, the announcement reverses a Trump-era policy that allowed providers to deny care to LGBTQ people.
We go through this every cycle.
Thankfully, the Biden administration is slowly trying to overturn many of these Trump policies that had been put in place. We'll see what Congress does, maybe to laws, so we don't have to have this flip-flopping back and forth. And those are some of your headlines. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about some other topics, a little bit in depth on those topics. We're going to be talking about Instagram. They now announced that pronouns can be used on your bios, permanently up in your bio. There's a gasoline shortage happening in the East Coast. And if you've been on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or any of those things, you've seen the fallout from this gasoline shortage because people are dumb and they're putting gas in, I don't know, trash bags. And this is kind of disturbing, but also something happened with generals more than 120 retired generals writing a letter to Biden, talking about conspiracy, false elections, questioning mental health. But we'll talk about all of that coming up next. And we are back. Matt, I saw this the other day. It just happened this week. And I thought this was a really good thing. But Instagram, they have announced that they are stepping up their inclusivity. They're going to now add a function that's going to allow users up to 4 pronouns to be displayed on their profile. Now, they can be displayed publicly for everyone to see, or they can be displayed only for the user's followers, whichever they choose. Now, in total, there's about 41 options that people can choose from. They're automated. They're in the system that you have to choose from those 41 options. They will be adding more in the future, they say. Now, Instagram has worked with GLAAD, the Trevor Project, and PFLAG, and coming up with the list of those pronouns. Now, the reason they're limiting it right now to those 41 options is because they want to prevent trolls and other people from putting joke pronouns in there or offensive words, because, they're wanting to make this a serious issue and not let other people kind of take control of it. Now, this feature is available here in the United States, the UK, Canada, and Australia, but they are looking to roll this out to other countries very, very soon.
It's amazing how people get so trolly about it when it's something that it does not affect their daily life at all.
It really, in the last few years, has kind of come to prominence about people putting it in like their email signatures or different things like that. And you are right. Like, people see that sometimes and they flip out. And it's like,
they get
why?
Mad. Like, they get
literally mad.
Like, they so enraged. Yeah, it's not even like making a snappy comment. They get actually enraged, and it's like identifying as an attack helicopter. I'm like, well, it looks like you identify more as a human trash can, but okay, go ahead and pick something. But it's amazing. It's like, it really shows you how people don't really know what pronouns are. I don't use pronouns. When you say, oh, she called me, what did you just do? What did you just do? But people don't have a grasp of the language that they speak, which is why people hate us. And I understand why. And they clearly, even in the intro classes we get to take in our middle and high schools with languages, we struggle so much because English has literally all the rules and no rules. It's like this really weird open arena, whereas most other languages follow some sense of something. Like, when I was, we have a few tenses in the English language, basically past, present, future, right? But in Spanish, that is not that simple. There is so much more you can do with it, and it's so beautiful. But most of us have no appreciation for it because we don't really understand what that means, because we don't live that language. So it's almost like when we're learning it, we're just going through the motions, and we're repeating what we hear. We can maybe do the basics, and it's really frustrating. And I've always found it amazing that we celebrate linguists and the ability to learn multiple languages, yet at the same time, viciously criticize people and make fun of them for not speaking, English perfectly, or, using pronouns and what this does and that doesn't. And it's like, if anything, doing this podcast has showed me it's really our culture that's incredibly ignorant to how normal using pronouns and other pronouns rather than what people assume they might be really is. Like, it's so strange. But we're raised to believe here that we have these freedoms that nobody else has, and that we're the only place that you can have these things. And it's like, well, but we work so hard to roll them back. But the benefit is, obviously, we're a massive country with massive opportunity. There's obviously massive opportunity here. But
yeah, I mean, I think you've seen some positiveness. I've seen straight allies putting this in their email signatures just to show allyship and to make it kind of a norm. And not so, again, for these people to just flip out over seeing it, if we could just kind of make this a norm, because it is important to people who may use different pronouns than what people think they should use. And by having these in their bios on any of these things, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever it may be, it allows you to be basically be able to speak to this person in the pronouns that they want to use. And it just helps everyone feel more included and not kind of off to the side. So I think this is a great thing because everybody.
Well, no, you're right. It does make people feel more included. I mean, I don't know what was pushed on you growing up, but to me, I was always pushed, oh, that's not a good thing for a man to be doing. To, always that like male mentality, like that toxic masculine, like that's what I had to be. And I never identified with it. And there is so much more to just being, it's like, there's more to being a man than that, blah, blah. No, how about I just be human and I can just be what I want to be? My taxes are paid. Yeah. And I try not to hurt people. Like, let's just go with that. Like, let's just focus on being good people and go from there. Because people always do, before this, I'm a man. Before this, I'm that. No, how about we just be human and kind to each other? Like, it's just amazing how much vitriol like people spout about pronouns. Oh my God. Like, I can tell you that if I was growing up as a teenager now, the amount of having access to the information, understanding that I didn't have to be, when I write about myself or I write personal things, I usually refer to myself in the he and they, and then of course, being part of gay culture, people say she fondly, but in toxic masculinity culture, if you say she, woo, everybody used to love calling me she or her to piss me off as a kid because I wasn't overly masculine. But not calling me all those things didn't make me any more masculine. I definitely was like, well, I kind of look like this. I sound like this. Here we are,
Yeah.
Like, your taunting did not help. In fact, I'm pretty open about it. And that's why you're on Craigslist blowing your friends' husbands, like, sorry, Twitter, because Craigslist is defunct now.
All right.
Cody's like, shit, gotta edit that out.
So props to Instagram moving forward, and
Absolutely.
that they worked with Glad Trevor Project and other organizations and trying to do what's best. Because a lot of times companies may not get advice from these groups, and so in this case they did, which is surprising.
Currently, the Colonial Pipeline is back online amid gas shortages following a cyber attack. The Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm announced the resumption of operations on Twitter Wednesday. Gas stations in the southeastern United States faced significant outages Wednesday as the Colonial Pipeline shutdown stretched into a sixth day, sparking panic buying, and that has exacerbated the supply crunch. That's AKA artificial shortages. If you don't need gas, don't go fucking buy it. If I see people putting gas in, they're putting gas in bags and other crap. I'm like, I'm going to come set you on fire myself. Are you stupid? As a 4 p.m.
I saw like a
Eastern
handful of photos of people that I saw. This one person, they had a van or a Suburban, and in the back was like 6 trash can bags full of gasoline.
Is that a current? Okay, I know people have been recycling old pictures, but that means it's happened. You should not do that.
It's happened.
Do not.
It's probably happened. But my question is, okay, you're thinking you're going to need gas, or you're worried they're going to whatever reason for you hoarding the gasoline. How on earth are you going to, first of all, it's going to leak out of a trash bag. But secondly, how are you going to if you're that dumb to put it in a trash bag, you're not smart enough to get it out of that trash bag.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to spill.
Or explode. And that car is never going to, hope the driver isn't a smoker. As of 4 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, though, 68% of all gas stations in North Carolina, 45% in Georgia, and 49% in Virginia, and 45% in South Carolina were without gasoline. But that will get better. And there are people who are now stuck at home because they actually needed gas and could not get it because everybody had to they had to go out and pick up, some groceries and a bag of gas.
Out here,
that's all I have on that.
it seems out here gas may be going down because they had diverted some gasoline and fuel to the West Coast. So prices went down over here. So that's exciting for us. But yeah, and I believe
get gas every few weeks.
Yeah, I believe it was a Russian hack that was involved in this. Again, a big reason on why we need to make sure we start securing our infrastructure, because things like this can happen just like that. I know out here it's not necessarily fully infrastructure, but there was a hospital group out here in San Diego, and they got hacked with malware, and their systems have been down for over a week now, and so they're having to do everything on paper. So it's important that we start securing some of these things that are vital to the well-being of Americans, and that money has to be put towards these things. I don't know why sometimes people think, we just need to fix them. It requires money, and it just needs to be made importance. So we'll see what happens with that. This one was a crazy one. More than 120 retired generals and admirals wrote to Biden, appearing to back a false election conspiracy and questioning his mental health. They said in this letter, without a fair and honest election that accurately reflects the will of the people, our constitutional republic is lost. Now, the group's name is Flag Officers for the number 4 America. They released the letter signed by the 124 military leaders, again, questioning Biden's physical and mental health. Now, one serving Navy leader told Politico that the letter was, quote, disturbing and reckless. I agree with that.
It's interesting when we couldn't even get, like, Trump's medical records were forcibly taken out of his doctor's offices. If you remember that. See, I think it was like the Secret Service or something. They went into his doctor's office and forcibly took his records. And the doctor was like, what the hell? Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah, I think that's quite interesting. Boy, they're really stumping for the guy who tried to have our vice president murdered. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like so annoying. But again, many of these people are probably older. And it seems that this older generation is just, they are digging their heels in, trying with all their might to secure what they feel is the America that they loved, or the reality of the situation, they only like white America. And they are essentially nervous that any other group could,
yeah, and when most of us
any input,
most of us are literally not.
Runs.
None of us really have a heritage here either, which is just amazing. Like, we don't hail from here, like, at all. Like, what the hell?
It gets so frustrating because every story that involves any of this situation like this, or anything that involved in our last election with Trump, it is just this idea that America was better at one point, when the reality of the situation is that's not true. Right. And what they really mean to say is they liked it when, minorities were just over here and white people ruled everything and made every decision.
Yeah, because the evangelical base was all like, oh yeah, well, we went to work and we came home. And that's why, these dumbasses are why we have like entire generations of people who are super freaking repressed. And they're like, my family member was just a man of few words and they didn't say much. And, they just said this and those words were precious. Or y'all were bitter and that's why y'all need a whole lot of therapy and you think it's totally normal to act the way you do. And it's like, no, you've been beaten into submission and congratulations. That's for you. If that's the life you wanted, that is great. That is not the life I want for myself.
I mean, yeah, it's a crazy thing. And it goes back to the thing we talked about on Friday about the people who talking about the bamboo ballots. They're just living in a fantasy world, and regardless of any like actual facts, many of them don't even believe this, but they know that they have to do this to, I guess, remain take control of the situation because they feel like they are. And if you look at the facts, they are losing.
I mean, they just ousted the person that all she said was she bucked Trump because he literally cited an insurrection. I mean, and they're like, back our main man Trump, basically. I'm like, what kind of frat crap is this? I mean, all that tells me is that there's a major problem going on here. Like, they're criminally worried because Rudy Giuliani just got raided. So, to me, it's always a bigger picture. But again, when you've been raised by a sociopath, the frail little lies are just frail little lies. They hope they don't get questioned, And that same man asked me the other day about, oh, well, we won this. And I'm like, really? Have you seen the district you live in? Do you know what Jim Jordan's district? They're Ohio residents. I was like, do you know what Jim Jordan's district looked like? It literally looks like somebody spilled red. It looks like a kid spilled red paint on a picture, just smeared it. And that's his district. It makes no damn sense. He goes, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know. You didn't even need to tell me that for me to know that. I promise.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. Every one of the people who make arguments are all the same. You had the information news come out to this week of Caitlyn Jenner, who's running, wants to be governor of California, that she didn't even vote in the last election, and she gave an interview saying that usually the things that are important here in California are different ballot propositions. And she looked at the propositions this last time, and she wasn't either for or against them. So, just whatever. She went and played golf instead. It's like there were some big propositions that had implications for people. And if you can't even vote in an election, you don't deserve to be in any political office. But yeah, again, it's this idea of these people, and they don't really care about anything other than, and that's just what it is. And I guess we will leave it with that. And of course, you can check us out on Friday for our live show at 5 o'clock Pacific. We hope you join us. It's always fun, a lot of fun. And we'll. So, hey guys, we want to remind everyone that you can keep in touch with us on all of our social media channels, whether that is Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You can do all of that at the ComaCast.
And we definitely love to interact and hear from all of our listeners. All of this is not possible without you guys.